Well, it's all just logical. Like, be the change you want to see. If you don't want any change, then you can be the part of that group. But there's enough people to form part of the other group that will want to see a difference. Like all these things are just logical. And I read a book by John Doerr, which is a book about actually how to put what's called OKRs, which is objectives and key results. It's a system that was developed within the software industry in order to sort of get things done. It's like a process system. And I think it's called Speed and Scale. And it's basically taking the gigatons of carbon in every industry, whether it's cars or food, and breaking down how much we would have to reduce it over this amount of time to fix the problem. So in food, for example, it's 2 gigatons of carbon needs to be removed or reduced over, say, a 10 to 15 year period. And then you break down, okay, where can we look at, meat, dairy, and so on. So if you just logically approach all these things, they're infinitely possible. And all of the companies and all of the people in the show are part of that logic. I've just taken a data set and thought, how much can I be a part of that part of the solution? And if everybody did that, it wouldn't be a problem. Welcome to the alternative route. Soil erosion and desertification have been huge problems over the last 100 years or more on the Earth. Mass over-farming of land, no crop rotation, tilling, and water runoff have caused whole areas like the Dust Bowl in the USA to have little to no agriculture as a result. Regenerative agriculture is, in most people's opinion, the key way forward for the future of our planet. Episode 2: Saving the Soil. Wild Farmed is a true, real social innovator. Started by a group of guys that really care about the environment and are properly upset by the food system and how it's changed and how it's affecting health and the planet. They are here to change that. Andy Cato, one of the Groove Armada duo, is one of the founding team who has had his own journey from stage to farm. Andy has used his influence and celebrity to create some major change in the food industry. A lot of people are suspect of big farmers, but maybe there's a model here for other parts of the world to make food better.
Tell us about the pizza you're eating.
It's from Joe's Pizza. Most people will say it's the best place to get pizza in the city. And tend to now agree. My first Joe's experience.
Tell us about the food culture in the various places. What inspires you about cities and food?
The food of a city is a reflection of the people and the age of a city. So you've got a huge Italian influence in New York. Pizzas, pastas, huge bread culture. But the core of it is always what people had when they had no money, which how we ended up with, grain being the base of most of the staple food diet. So whether it's pizza, whether it's bread, whether it's pasta, it was always from a crop. And it ties into a lot of the monoculture conversations that we've had, and what was available is how the food culture was crafted, which is not what it has to be now. And that's an important part of the questions that we need to ask.
I have to admit, I'm a bit of a fan of Andy's. Groove Armada was a big part of my growing up, so I'm excited and nervous to meet him.
Most of my life I was a musician.
Oh, wow.
I was coming back from a gig and I picked up an article about the environmental consequences of food production.
Yeah.
And it wasn't pretty reading, and it ended with a line which said, if you don't like the system, don't depend on it. Sometimes we open that door, which sadly you can't see, but...
Andy gave up his life as a DJ and sold his music library and rights to pursue a simpler, or maybe more complicated life in the countryside, focused on improving the food system and the soil. He has put his heart and soul into this, and at times nearly risked it all.
So I have a question. I'm a baker, so I'm obviously thinking about the flour that you produce.
Yeah.
So do you mill your flour here, or how does it work once you grow all the wheat and all the crops here?
There's a French saying which says, on ne peut pas être four au moulin. Literally translated means you can't be at the oven and at the mill.
Mill, yeah.
But I tried doing that for 10 years and I can see where that phrase came from. And so to make sure that we can maintain consistent quality in the flour and to avoid having to penalise farmers who've had a difficult harvest because of rain or whatever, so the milling spec's gone down a bit, we get all that grain together and it gets milled about half an hour away from here. There's no sustainability without sustainable net margins for farmers.
Yeah.
And so
Very
the
true.
whole wild farm community has been built up to support farmers with agronomy advice and knowledge sharing and open days. And there's an amazing WhatsApp group that we're all on, which,
I love
which
that.
is sort of buzzing with information.
How do you define a regenerative farm?
Getting away from monocultures.
Yep.
So all of our growers grow their cereal in the company of other plants.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of using technology and GPS guidance for the tractors and stuff like that to repackage stuff that's been known for 10,000 years but forgotten for the last 100
Yeah.
years.
So what are you growing here?
So it's a mixture of wheat varieties.
Okay.
And that brings sort of resilience and strength in difficult climatic conditions. And between the rows is clover. There are also what you might call weeds, but you could also argue that what they are the plants that the soil wants to grow. So as long as we can manage them,
Yeah.
they're there for a reason. But what we know is that when you put different types of plant families together, if this all gets hit by a drought, this will stay greener a lot longer than a field just of wheat will.
One of the things that I constantly come across in the conversation about regenerative farming is, you know, nice to have, but can it do enough volume to be able to feed everybody if it was 90%, 100% of the system?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I suppose there's two things that we need to knock off, get out of the way before we can get into that. One is the assumption in that question that we can keep feeding the world doing what we're doing. And the overwhelming evidence is that we can't, because we've got an extinction crisis and we've got a climate crisis, and it's in no small part due to that food production system.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that we've actually got a food production problem in the first place. We've actually been producing enough calories for 10 billion people. We've got a food distribution problem, not a production problem.
So it seems that, like, in general, this holistic mindset of just improving is better for everything. Same with agriculture.
I think you're absolutely right. It's just a universal principle. You know, I mean, I suppose its most basic diversity is strength.
Yeah.
And that applies to every aspect of society and farming.
Getting the food to the people who need it in the right way is a big dilemma. An abundance of crops and produce is unavailable to assist the problem of food insecurity and famine-like scenarios which are unnecessary.
So you were saying all of this started on the way back from a gig and an article that changed your life between having a music career and now being a full-time farmer.
Yeah.
Any regrets? Any?
It's a lot easier DJing. I can tell you that for nothing. Yeah. No, I don't think regrets. No. But there have been some very, very difficult days along the way. A lot of the time in France when it wasn't working, I was lucky. I was able to keep myself afloat as I was doing all the sort of research side of things by going playing records. But it's a pretty exhausting thing, you know, going between those two things non-stop for a long time, whilst in the back of your mind thinking, why am I putting my family through all this financial stress when we could just have been sitting in Ibiza having long lunches? I mean, the truth of the matter is that, you know.
Yeah.
But I think both Joe, my wife, and I, by that point, had realised that if we don't change the way we grow our food, there's no future. I mean, without wanting to get too heavy about it, that's the reality. The way I see it anyway is that we live in a society which is really struggling for purpose, and yet here we have like the ultimate purpose that can solve all of our existential problems and leave a planet for our kids that can be in a really wonderful place. Like, everybody wins. You've got something to be excited about, something that everyone can be involved in, whether it's growing potted plants on a balcony to farming 750 acres. You can eat food that tastes better, you can be healthier. There are basically no losers. So any way we can get this message out with integrity and with clarity, then the better.
The whole ecosystem of Wild Farmed is thought through as it should be, ensuring every person, business and stakeholder has equity and is looked after fairly. I'd like to go and see one of those stakeholders, Sourdough Revolution. Just down the road here from Andy's farm, they use wild farmed flour in their bakery and restaurant.
Because of the process that they're using in the fields, the minerals are actually being extracted from the ground and passed up into the plant. That's a whole part of Andy's ethos, is making sure the plants are mineral rich.
Yeah, he did tell us that the nutritional value is way better and there's lots more antioxidants in it.
Yeah, that's
because of how they're growing.
So because of that, the flour is just generally more nutrient dense, and then the end product is, wow, that's so interesting.
Okay, so here I've got the egg mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And there's also ham and mustard.
And this is all using the Wild Farm flour in the sourdough?
Yeah, that's right.
I've always said you'll get out of it what you put in. If you don't start with the best ingredients, you can't make the best food.
When it comes to making this bread, we actually ferment our bucket of pre-ferment for 48 hours.
Okay.
Nice.
And then that gets added then to our new batch of dough, and that is fermented for another 24 hours.
Oh, nice.
We're producing all these acids and vinegar flavours, the vinegar notes, which is why it's called sourdough.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
We get
I
that
didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's a bit. So sourdough is actually a little bit sour in flavour because of the way it's fermented.
Yeah. So what the big supermarkets do is they add acetic acid powder into their sourdough.
Do they? So is it not
Yeah.
actually sourdough?
So it's faked.
Sour faux.
Ah.
Which is, there's a big thing in the media at the moment about real sourdough versus versus fake stuff. Yeah.
You've got a few other ingredients in here, particularly this cheese, which is local
What
as
cheese
well.
is this?
So this is great. This is a friend of mine. He's based down in Chedworth, just 20 minutes drive away. His name's Dave Jowett, and he's got a dairy called Kingstone Dairy. He's been making cheese for over 10 years now.
Looks
And
delicious.
he's a multi-award-winning cheesemaker. He's very famous for his roll rye and Ashcombe. This one's called Burford.
Wow.
We use eggs from a cackle bean farm.
There you go.
All of his hens are out on the fields. They're
Completely wild.
they're
Is
all
that what free range is when they're just out? On
That's actual free range.
actual
Like
free
when
range. Wild Farm is supporting all these different farms.
I think it's amazing, and I think this bread is going to taste wonderful. I can't wait.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
See you,
Lovely
take
to
care.
meet you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh,
Cheers.
God, I can't. Cheese, I should say. Right.
Oh.
Wow.
The bread is something else.
That is a good, very good sandwich. Every single thing in here tastes so good. You can tell the quality of this, the bread, the cheese, the butter.
Yeah. The love and care. I think I appreciate the bread and the grain and the quality of the ingredients more having met Andy and understanding how passionate he is about the subject in general.
Massively. I think before coming on this whole road trip, I just wasn't sure if the people we were going to meet were just doing it as a tick box exercise or...
He's totally legit, isn't he?
He had an epiphany
Yeah.
that he basically wanted to help save the planet.
Yeah.
And actually the way that he was talking about it, he really cares. And he was even talking about he wants his kids to grow up in a world that's better and safer, environmentally wise.
What I liked about it is that it's all simple and direct. And most of the people that we've met, all of the people that we've met, have had this narrative where it's just hey everybody, it's not complicated. If you do this and this, we'll be okay. That conversation that we just had with Max where he was saying that
The white bread and the sourdough.
the sourdough is basically faked
Yeah.
in order to get the same reaction with forced ingredients instead of just using an old method.
Yeah.
Has been a consistent theme in this whole project. The most hopeful thing I heard him say was the fact that the more people are showing leadership and making the right decisions to go on an alternative route, means that everything improves around it. So if
Yeah.
you're thinking about having better ingredients, then your ethos, like Max here at the restaurant,
Yeah.
means that everything else is done in the right way as well. The decisions that are being made from supply, the decisions that are being made about, you know, managing people or whatever, everything gets better as a result.
Yeah.
Some of the best food I've ever tasted has been from small, local producers in any country. Small holdings, lots of care, and usually when it means more to them. The small businesses that exist in any economy have always been the backbone of a country. Food in particular has been better the less people that are involved. If you want something that's genuinely made by hand or made with real ingredients, the smaller the business, the more likely.
Are those the bags of wild farm flour?
This is all the wild farm,
The
yeah,
big
so-
W.
Yeah, the big W. It's very distinctive stuff.
Oh,
Wow.
So we got all the wild farms down there, and that's good. We collect that from the mill.
Well, I was saying before, since filming that, when we went to learn about wild farm flour, I have seen wild farmed everywhere. And I don't know whether it's because it's now in my mind. I don't know. I just feel the brand has blown up massively. But also, I'm so happy to see that because I know it's really good quality flour. And I've seen so many bakeries use it. It seems to be everywhere now.
Yeah. The core of brands, if they're legit, is what sells it. So if anyone has been able to tell the story as well as Andy does, or even half as well as Andy does, it's very difficult not to just be fully bought in. And
Definitely.
when there's no other option like it, you know, that's what their USP is. Their unique selling proposition is having this rewilded grain and ultimately flour that no one else can do, and it's better for everything.
And
it
it's so damn
tastes
tasty.
better.
Do you remember those sandwiches?
Yeah, they were so good. I mean, the place was perfect. The sort of ingredients were great. We just met, you know, the origin source of the whole thing. And I often think that, like, in those environments, everything does taste better.
Definitely.
But I can't explain how good the bread was.
I've had lunch and coffee, and I could happily wolf down one of those sandwiches right now.
On one of my first trips to New York City, I went to a carbon-neutral B Corp restaurant around the corner from my friend's house called Pasticci's, which has been part of a number of my friends' history. I'm meeting some new friends here who are helping me and others find an alternative route to a bigger voice. I was thinking about who would be good to chat to about the subject in the city, and I was like, oh, I know two guys.
What about those clients? I'm such a big fan of New York City. This is the epicenter of all that creativity kind of mashing on top of each other. I just loved how real it was. When I first got here, it just felt right. Media was big. Big television, big Super Bowl, and big outdoor billboards. You would come up with ideas, you would have those ideas bought by a client, and then 2 months later, you saw your idea on television.
Cheers. Good to see you guys.
happy Saturday.
Nice to
Emma.
meet you. Thanks
to
for
see
coming.
you.
The future.
So wait, so this restaurant's a B Corp too?
Yeah. That's why we're here.
Okay. How hard is it to actually zero-base the carbon here?
Oh, so Strong Roots is a carbon neutral company now.
We agreed to get to net zero by the end of 2023.
Oh, wow.
And carbon positive, still working on the vocabulary for
Yeah.
that, but offset
we all need a
more
dictionary.
than we use by 2024.
You know, when we first started out, a really good friend of mine said, you know, it's never going to work.
The idea of advertising for good wouldn't work.
We were talking about the new consumer and how their eyes were switching to companies that are behind the brands and what the value systems are. And now it's caught on so much. You know, we have competitors, and the more people in the pool, the better. Like, let's all help this conscious capitalist movement happen.
As a small agency, it's like we can't service some of the giant corporations and change the way they act. But what we can do is really influence the culture of Madison Avenue, which is a much smaller set of people, and people that we know.
No.
So we thought if we could build a company that would be an example, that could produce great creative work, that could turn a profit, and that could be better, live better, give their employees better benefits, give the world something back, then we could change the rest of the industry and start to inspire competitors and start to inspire the big companies to start to behave this way.
Replace creative work with innovative products, and we're doing the exact same thing.
The same thing.
Do you have any feelings on Oberland being a B Corp?
I'm surprised you haven't debriefed her. I mean,
I
that's,
keep her out of the legal stuff. But remember, like, you remember doing the ad for the ACLU, right? When
Yeah,
you and
I
your brothers
remember
got to
doing
do
the
it.
writing.
How did that make you feel?
And I was mad that people were letting this happen. But a little silver lining is that people are pushing to help.
oh, this was the Mexican
Yeah.
border
This
thing.
was the border crisis, yeah.
How did you guys find your way to B Corp?
I was carrying Emma and a baby Bjorn at Occupy Wall Street.
Oh,
My wife was a photographer. She was taking pictures and posting them to the wire. I was like, oh, okay, there can be a business here in serving this community. And then, as I got in further and further into the community, I learned about the B Corp designation. And when we opened Oberland, it was something I really wanted to do.
we're going to talk to government. We're going to talk to big food. What do we bring to challenge them? Like, what would be your carry it upstairs be?
If I was going to carry it all the way up to the boardroom, I would just remind everybody how capitalism is supposed to work. There's this thing called the invisible hand, which corrects the market, right? And that's supposed to be consumer will. Well, consumers are buying sustainable products now. And that same consumer also works for a living, and they now want to work for a company who's purpose-driven. It's a huge change in the labor market for people who want to look back on their career with pride, thinking they contributed to the race and to humanity. Like, the consumer regained their strength. They balled their hand up into a fist called purpose, and like, this is the invisible hand in the market.
Yeah.
And it's changing the employee-employer relationship, the consumer to business relationship, and I think the demand for government to create an environment that supports sustainable business practice, sustainable wages, sustainable environmental practices, sustainable ingredients. That stuff is market demand.
Yeah.
People can't just ignore it and pretend the only demand in the market is for money, because it just isn't.
Yeah.
So take that, take that to the boardroom.
Agencies like Oberland and many others like them now have the power and the skill sets to help other better brands like Wild Farmed elevate their story and tell it in the most impactful way.
What I've taken away from this show in particular is there's so much scaremongering around the world, but one thing that really scares me in the world are angry vegans, people who, and the reason for being a vegan or doing what you're doing is fine, but don't instill a fear in people and make people feel bad for doing certain things. I just don't believe in that. But what I love about what we did and what Sam really believed in doing the show was it's solutions focused. It's not saying these are all the problems, the world is a mess. It's saying these are the solutions to problems, and actually there are people who are determined to make change. And I also think that one big issue is funding, and that was one frustration I had, because a lot of the infrastructures are in place can only really be built out and expanded if there's funding. But what I'm hoping is through doing a show and those bits of infrastructure and companies getting that recognition, hopefully they will get the funding they need, but also it will inspire people to do something similar. And maybe other companies will see this and think, okay, we need to be doing more. And hopefully that in turn will help. I'm not saying it will help overnight, and like we've said before, we've very much scratched the surface. I think there's so much more we can do, so much more we can also uncover. This is very much like a season 1 of what could be a 10-part series, really, because there's so many other innovators out there that we don't even know about. And yeah, there's so much more that can be done in the world, so much more that is being done. I would absolutely do season 2. I mean, are you joking? This hasn't even felt like work for most of it. Just going on a road trip. I would maybe request some warmer countries, potentially. That's my only complaint. I was a bit cold, but no, absolutely. I am so intrigued by what we've discovered so far, and I've caught that bug, and I want to keep exploring. I want to keep meeting innovators, learning more, and I want that hope in me to kind of fire up and continue to burn, because it's sort of it's set alight now, and I just want to keep on that journey and learn more, meet more, and yeah, it's just been amazing, and I just don't want it to stop, to be honest.
Small businesses are usually the cornerstones of our communities and offer a valid alternative to high street chains, often with a superior quality due to their ingredients and their adaptability to sustainable trends. This journey in particular has been so potent, whether it's Andy trying to change the world and soil one seed at a time, or how celebrities can and should do good with their influence to create an alternative route.